Good morning, coffee aficionados. I am glad to be with you this morning for a few reasons. I am back at our offices. Our offices are open back up today, but it's actually my last week at the office before I move on to the next chapter of my life. I'm really excited to be here because of what I have to share with you this morning, and I have to give credit where credit is due. The pastor in my church, Chris Bell, Three Circle Church, preached a sermon on this yesterday, and he helped tie some things together that I really had not noticed, and I think this is really super important. I want you to hear it, okay? So let's talk about nets. All right, so the text of his message yesterday was about how Peter, so Peter, everybody knows Peter, right? New Testament, he's one of the disciples. Peter was a fisherman, so that means he went fishing and he used nets to fish. That's how he made a living. That's how he had his identity. That was a source of security for him, and that's when he was fishing when he met Jesus. All right, so after Jesus dies and has risen again, Peter had some failures, by the way. I don't know if you know this. He was kind of he would speak maybe when he should be quiet. He promised to be really faithful. He had these good intentions, right? Had these goals, the objectives he sets for himself. He failed at meeting those goals. He betrayed, which, nobody wants to be somebody that betrays. So he did all that. So after the resurrection, next time, we see Peter, and you know what he's doing? He's back to the nets. He's back to fishing, right? He's back to the thing that he's familiar with. It's the old reliable for him. And what I want to take away from this, and what I take away from it, I want to encourage you to do some self-reflection, is we all have nets in our lives. So maybe your net is aggressive. Like you attack people. Maybe you're passive aggressive and you're sarcastic, and that's how you're protecting yourself from being hurt or your heart being broken. Or maybe you're passive. You're self-deprecatory. You're always you are like attacking yourself before somebody else can, and that's how you protect yourself. Or maybe you work super hard. You always give 110% because you're afraid to do any less. Or maybe you only give 90%, because if you give 100% and it fails, then all of a sudden you're a failure. But if you only give 90% and it fails, well, maybe there's that chance that if you'd given 100%, it wouldn't fail. So that's how you protect yourself. You protect yourself in ways you act and you talk, the places you go. All these things are giving you a sense of identity, a sense of belonging, a sense of security. And those are the things, even when you try to change. Even when you try to change and do something else, when you have set a goal for yourself, or you have a vision for your life or whatever, and you try to change, and then you can't, you go back to those nets. Literally, these things are your safety nets, and they keep drawing us back. They draw us back because that's what we know we can go to protect ourselves, or find a sense of security, or find a sense of purpose, even if God is calling us beyond that. Even if God is calling us to step out and try something new and to trust. Now look, in the case of Peter, you kind of get it, right? He had these great goals and aspiration. He was the big mouth, he was the leader, and he betrayed Jesus. And in this moment where he's gone back to the nets and he sees Jesus again, Jesus has a conversation and he restores him, makes it clear that he has forgiven him for his failures. Now, I don't know what that means to you, but I do know we never hear anything else in the New Testament about Peter and the nets. He went on to something different, something bigger and greater. Here's my takeaway from this for my life. The takeaway is I have to look at my old reliables, my safety net, the things that I do, that I turn to, that make me feel safe and secure. I'm going to tell you some of the things they are for me, right? You know that what I just described, that giving it your 90%, because if you give it your 100% and it fails, then you're a failure. That's me. I often revert to like not quite finishing things for fear of finishing them and not having something else to do. Or, well, listen, I got a lot of these things. Being super organized, like that's my thing. If I can be 100% on point, organized, then that's my thing. And so I use that as a security blanket. Look, all the things we're talking about, fishing is good. Effort is good. All these things are, being humble is good. Believing yourself, all these things are good. But when you rely on it, like that's your safety net, then you're never going to experience the kind of existence that God has out there for you. So I hope you leave the nets behind, and I hope you trust. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's something we have to do every day. I know it's something I have to do every day. And I'm going to try to do it today and tomorrow and the next day. But the important thing is, I'm going to make the most of today, leave the nets behind, go into what I think God has for me, not rely on my old standby safety net, security blanket of, human effort, and trust. And I really hope that for you too. God bless.